Welcome to Adulting 101 for first-time home buyers. My name is Joanne Warbeck.
And I'm Lori Sharpstein. Thank you for joining us again. If you've sat through some of our previous sessions, we've really enjoyed being able to bring this session to you every month, and we have some wonderful speakers planned in the future. But tonight
we have Heidi Goff, and she is going to be speaking on home warranties and how they differ from home insurance and basically why you need both.
Yeah, it really is critical when you're making a big purchase like that to truly understand all of the elements and what you're buying and what everything moves so fast in that transaction, right? And you're signing a bunch of stuff and somebody says, go get homeowners insurance, and what's a home warranty? So we really want to make sure that you have all of the information straight from an expert as to what it is, why you would want to consider it, and how it's used, right?
Yeah, exactly. We want our first-time home buyers to succeed, and home warranties is a way to make sure that once they get into the home, they do not fail, because most likely something's going to break.
Yeah, when you buy a house, you're buying a used house, typically, even when it's new. Something's going to happen. It's like when you buy a used car, right? It comes with dents and dings, and you have to replace the tires, and you better make sure that you change the oil, all of those things. Houses are no different. So what we've learned in studies is that the element of the home buying process that first-time buyers are most dissatisfied with a year after they bought the house is that they had absolutely no idea of all of the things that they had to do to take care of it, or all of the expenses that came along with that. So it's easy for a buyer to feel very frustrated if, say, they have their home inspected and the inspection is great. Everything's working, the air conditioner and the furnace work, and that's wonderful.
Right.
3 months after they move into the house, the air conditioner stops working. And it's very natural to think, well, somebody did something wrong, right? And that's simply not the case. Things break, things happen, things need maintenance.
I mean, that's a great point, because how long do inspections actually take? The inspectors are in the home for a matter
several
of
hours, yeah.
But they're not necessarily going through and running things for
a long period of time.
Right, they're not staying in there a couple of weeks and making sure it's really, they're going in for a couple hours, checking, turning on, turning off, making sure it works right now. No one can predict if it's going to work in a week or even a day. So.
Right. Well, and oftentimes too, what people don't realize is if you purchase a home in the middle of winter, the inspector is there in the winter. He cannot turn on the air conditioner. He can't tell you whether it works or not.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't planned for that potential for it not working, or utilize a home warranty so that you can be protected, you might have a big surprise.
Yeah.
Right, for sure.
And those costs can be pretty astronomical, especially if you've used the bulk of your funds for down payment.
Right. Yeah, so we've seen a lot of people run into that, and actually people have called us after closing and said, oh my gosh, something has failed. Can we go ahead and add this warranty?
No,
I really want to help you out, but that's not how it works.
You don't buy life insurance after you passed away.
Right, that's what I say. After your house burns down, you can't call your homeowner's insurance agent and say, hey, I'd like to add a policy, So you think of it the exact same way.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and get started and see what Heidi brought for us. Oh, do we need to click it from here?
Yep.
Yeah, I do. Oh, I thought
Sorry,
I thought she was going to click into. I'm going nowhere.
Something like that. There, ta-da! Oh, and this is where we start. We could click back through. This is I'm Lori Sharpstein. I own Out of the Box Properties. We are a team of real estate agents that handle all elements of the buying and selling process. So
and I am Joanne Warbeck. I am a loan officer with Homestead Financial Mortgage, and we are partnering basically to bring you this first-time homebuyer series. And if you have any questions about loans or anything like that, please contact me directly.
And you will be getting, those of you who signed up, you will be getting some information after this seminar that will allow you to get in touch with all of our different subject matter experts. or with whatever question you might have. And also, please, if you're not already a part of it, join our Adulting 101 Facebook group, because it's a great place as well to just pop in a question when it comes up, and we have all these experts to help you out.
And I'm Heidi Goff. I'm with Home Warranty of America, and I'm excited tonight to share all of this information with you and let you know how you can succeed as a homeowner, just preparing yourself ahead of time. So the biggest question that I get is, what is a home warranty? A home warranty is not a home insurance policy. So you will have to purchase those things completely separate of each other, but a home warranty will complement your homeowner's insurance policy. So what one covers, the other doesn't, and vice versa.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, generally during the loan process, I, as a loan officer, I'm going to ask my borrower to provide a quote for home insurance. At what point are they getting the home warranty?
So it really depends. It depends. Did their realtor write a home warranty into their contract up front? Is that something that was discussed with them prior to even finding a home? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. If the realtor has written a warranty into their contract, that realtor is probably going to order that warranty completely, take care of that for them. So the homeowner or the purchaser isn't even going to have to address that. It's just right there taken care of. Now, if the realtor doesn't bring that up with them, doesn't even discuss it, the buyer can always purchase a warranty, themselves. They can let the title company know, they can let the realtor know, or of course they can call me in the middle of a transaction as well. So,
Yeah, it's not unusual, I think, particularly in our current marketplace, when it is such a seller's marketplace and so many things are being negotiated out of that process. I think it's important that those of us who are helping our clients, for us to at least have that conversation, because really the best time for them to purchase that themselves is right there at the closing table, is to have that included in the transaction. They're really not going to see that cost as a separate line item, as a separate check that they have to write.
right.
And then provided that their realtor is familiar and has set everything up, I just provide them a copy of, this is your policy, this is who to call, this is what it covers.
Right.
And I keep a copy of that in my file as well, so that if they lose it or forget, or 2 months later, I'm still there to be able to help put them in touch with it. But it really is important, as much as we're all competing for houses, and it's such a crazy marketplace, that to really pay attention to what your life is going to be like 6 months from now, 9 months from now, while you're in that home, and help set yourself up for success.
Right. And honestly, it's so common right now for sellers to say, I'm not paying for a home warranty. That's totally fine. The buyer can purchase it themselves. So they can still write it into the special agreements of their contract. Buyer will purchase their own, home warranty. Or even if they don't write it in the contract, they can still purchase it. It's really all about the conversation. So it's not that if the seller doesn't purchase it for you, it doesn't mean you can't have it. It just means you need to get it on your own.
Yeah.
What's the last available date that they can purchase it?
So we really recommend that they put it in place prior to closing, but that they don't pay for it until after closing. So that's why the title company is really the most ideal way to do it. They roll it right into closing. Like you said, it's not a separate check. It counts as your cash to close. So it's still part of your closing costs. So if you need a certain amount for your cash to close, in most cases, in most loans, and that's going to be your department, but that will usually go towards, your cash to close. But worst case scenario for you to get the real estate plan, which is what I market, it's a little less expensive than a direct to consumer product, would be 30 days after closing. So that's the latest that you can go in and get the less expensive product. It's a little more coverage, a little less money. So if you wait till you're in the home, for more than 30 days, then you've got a little higher coverage, or a little less coverage and a little higher price.
Right. Yeah, so just to recap that, because I think that's a critically important point, is that if you purchase it through the real estate transaction or through your agent within 30 days of that purchase, within 30 days after that purchase, best time is to do it right at that purchase, then what you end up getting is more coverage for a lower cost. So It's kind of like when you buy a refrigerator, right? And you get the 1 year warranty, and then month 10 they start marketing to you for an extended warranty. Well, what they're selling you then is much more expensive typically than that extended warranty if you had bought it when you bought the refrigerator.
There's more risk.
Right, there is, yeah. And two, if you put it into place before closing, so even though you haven't paid it yet, or the title company hasn't paid it, if you put it in place prior to closing, it will automatically go into effect on your closing date. And that's critical, because if you have a problem that happens on the closing date that wasn't happening yesterday, right? You're going to be covered even though that plan isn't paid for yet.
Right.
Whereas if you wait until after closing, it's not going, it doesn't go into effect until you actually put it in place, if that makes sense.
It does.
So, yeah. So homeowners insurance versus home warranty and the coverage. Homeowners insurance is going to cover you for things like shingle damage and roof leaks, structural leaks or damage, acts of nature. So that's going to be any kind of tornado, lightning, earthquake, hurricane, fire, things like that. Theft and robbery, personal liability, and it covers inside and outside your house. So there is a little caveat there that says to make sure you check with your licensed insurance agent, because all of those things aren't necessarily covered under your policy. You want to talk to your agent and go through that. Never ever assume that you have coverage, because unless they say you do, you don't. Versus home warranty coverage is a little different. So we're going to cover you for things that are inside the home. The easiest way to remember the coverage is the acronym PEACH, just like the fruit. It's plumbing, electrical, appliances, cooling, and heating. And it's going to be everything that's due or fails due to normal wear and tear. So things like animal infiltration, mice get in, they eat the wires. That's not normal wear and tear. You've dropped your refrigerator while you were, moving it to clean behind it. That's not going to be normal wear and tear. The biggest one is your outside air conditioning unit. A lot of times animals find those and like to go to the restroom on them. That is not covered. And the other big one with the AC is the fins on the outside there. So your lawn guy comes and hits it with a lawnmower, and it bends those fins. By bending those fins, it doesn't pull in the air like it should to properly cool everything off, right? So those are also not normal wear and tear. What's going to be normal wear and tear is that the unit has run and it has just worn itself out. A belt or a motor or a pump, something like that has just worn itself out. When you think about things like plumbing, your bathroom sink is leaking or something like that. Those are the types of things that are normal wear and tear, and those are covered under the plan. They also do have to be located within the main confines of the home. So when it comes to things like plumbing, the plumbing inside the house is covered, plumbing outside the house isn't. So even though your plumbing from inside of the house may feed your outside faucets, those are not covered. So keep that in mind as well. So homeowners insurance is required by your lender if you have a mortgage. This is super important because a lot of people get this part confused. Why you might need both of these. We kind of just went through the breakdown of what's actually covered, but your lender's going to come to you prior to closing and say, you have to provide me with your insurance agent's name. I'm going to call them so they can send me the policy. The reason being is that your mortgage company has an interest in your property. Technically, they own that property with you because they hold the loan on it. So anytime they require something for your loan, that means if you fail to provide that, they can call your note due. You know as well as I do, calling a note due means that you owe all the money back. So nobody wants to get in that position. It's completely different from a home warranty. You always have to maintain your homeowner's insurance unless you don't have a mortgage. But even if you don't have a mortgage, if your house burns down, is that a risk you're willing to take?
Right.
Homeowner's insurance is not that expensive in the scheme of things. So yeah, I definitely say just always maintain that. Don't drop that ever. Okay, we can bump to the next one. So the home warranty, you want to put that in place if you don't have an extra relief fund, an emergency fund. We found that the secret number is somewhere around $6,500. And that's because if one of your major systems or one of your major appliances go out at the same time, you're really going to be in a pickle. So that's kind of where that $6,500 comes from. Your air conditioning goes out and maybe your refrigerator goes out at the same time. Most people aren't going to have a backup to be able to, pay for both of those out of pocket. That is exactly why you need a home warranty, because that's not covered under your homeowner's insurance. So.
And most of our clients, they have already exhausted much of their savings through the home buying process. There's so many additional expenses, and then their down payment and their closing costs. So typically you don't come out of that process with that $6,500 just sitting there.
Right.
They also want to buy some furniture
Yeah.
and make their home their own. And so they're like, okay, well, I have a little extra saved.
This
But
is
they
not what you want to have to use it for.
Exactly.
Right.
They
Nobody
wanna apply
says,
it for
"Oh, I
fixing
can't
up.
wait to buy I'm so thrilled. I get to go shop for a water heater." That just does
Absolutely.
not
That doesn't
happen.
And that has actually happened to me. My house is 21 years, well, I bought it 21 years ago. It was 5 years old then. And that happened to us when we moved, not right when we moved in, but then you have to go get a water heater and you're like, oh, do you know all the things I could have used? That
Right.
Exactly. What a shame.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's cool to have hot water, but that's kind of, you assume the house can't, right?
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
when you level out the cost, of something like, especially a major appliance, a water heater, an HVAC, a furnace, or an air conditioner, those very rarely fail at the same time. So I say HVAC loosely, but when you think of the cost of that versus our top plan for 5,000 square feet and under, the top plan is $625.
yeah, that's
I mean,
so inexpensive.
Yeah.
And particularly, as we said, if that expense is rolled into your closing costs, honestly, you're not even going to see it. You're not going to notice that it's there. You're just going to have the benefit of being covered. And have it all taken care of for you.
And the probability too that some of these things are going to break, while there is a chance that they don't break, I know that I've actually had multiple things break all at once. It's almost like a Murphy's Law type of thing.
Yes.
I've had my dishwasher go out at the same time I had my dryer go out. And it was a whole host of things.
Wow.
Those things happen.
Yeah.
Right. I agree. I've seen it happen. Actually, that's happened to us too. And it wasn't for me, it wasn't catastrophic, but it wasn't comfortable, right? It was our air conditioner and our microwave, I believe, if I'm remembering correct. But
neither one did you want to have to replace,
and
right?
it was a huge inconvenience.
Yeah.
I hate to admit that I use my microwave way too much. So yeah, huge inconvenience.
I need my microwave popcorn. That's right.
So this is just a little clip of what an average replacement cost is. So you can see with an installation, if you were to go out on your own and hire someone, just call someone out of the phone book or whatnot, that having them go out and purchase the unit and install it is going to cost you much more than purchasing a warranty plan. So we'll get in a little deeper in a minute with trade call fees versus deductibles and how much you actually pay. But you can see here that it's extremely expensive to go out and replace something. And even if you go out on your own to Lowe's or Home Depot and purchase one of these units, and you know how to put it in yourself, you're still looking at significant costs, versus home warranty costs.
And, I'm looking at some of these prices right now, and with today's inflation, I think this is outdated already.
Yeah, I mean,
some of these are. I mean, a decent
depends.
stove can be,
Or a refrigerator for $1,300, maybe.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And that's a basic refrigerator.
That's a basic
So
one. That's
if
what I'm
you
trying to
have,
say.
Yeah,
if you
for a
buy
top
house,
nut, not for a side by side or the French
Correct.
door
Right.
or the water and the ice in the door, which some of us really have to have. So
Yeah, and it it does depend on your plan as to what is covered under that. But if you purchase a home and it has higher end appliances, the warranty is always going to try to replace it with something of likeness. So whatever we can find that's the most like what you have. So we're not going to take you from something really nice and put you into
a base model.
right. So keeping that into consideration too, if you're looking at a home and you're purchasing a home and you see that it's got higher end appliances, keep that in mind, and make sure that you purchase a plan that covers those higher end appliances, because they don't all do that.
Wow, that's a really good call. I helped a buyer purchase a house maybe 6 months ago. Adorable little bungalow in the city, in South City, and under $150,000 price point. But it came with a refrigerator that was a retro model of an old-fashioned refrigerator, and it was teal blue, and that refrigerator was $5,000 by itself.
Yeah.
So I hadn't even thought about that in relation to this. If that goes out, there's no way that she would be able to just go out and replace that same kind of refrigerator, the one that came with the house.
Yeah. And it's gonna, that's a good thing that you brought up too, because something like that, we may not be able to replace.
Right.
It just depends on availability. Is it even there? But knowing that you have a plan that would do the best we could to get you something that's, as close as possible.
Exactly.
So, yeah, definitely makes a difference. So what are systems and appliances? When home warranties, all the home warranties are going to say we cover your systems and appliances. Your systems are basically your HVAC, so your heating and cooling. Your plumbing, so your plumbing is going to include the water heater, internal plumbing like your bathroom plumbing, your kitchen plumbing, and your gas service. So the gas lines within the main confines of the home. Again, the water and the gas don't go outside the home. Those are going to be either homeowners insurance, which doesn't always cover it either, or the actual utility company themselves. So keep that in mind. A lot of the utility companies will cover those outside lines up to a certain point, and then you're responsible for the rest. But that's sort of a really fluid topic because that can change depending on where you are. And the appliances can vary. So your kitchen refrigerator is almost never covered with a base plan. But the rest of the kitchen appliances are. So when they say appliances, they're typically talking about dishwasher, microwave, oven, range, or stove if it's not all one unit. And then washer and dryer and refrigerator are typically add-ons. So those are things that you can add, or you can bump your package up. Like I said, with our top package, that's going to be like the most comprehensive plan, and that would automatically include those.
Interesting, because that is just like the real estate transaction itself. The standard real estate contract does not include the refrigerator and does not include a washer and dryer. It only includes those appliances that are truly built in to the home. So we always have to add that in separately if we want that to be included.
Right. And so keep in mind too, if you add that in on your sales contract, but you don't add that service in on your warranty, just because you get the refrigerator doesn't mean that it's included in your warranty. Right. So just at the end of this slideshow, we'll include kind of a screenshot of the coverages so you can kind of compare those. But make sure you keep in mind that just like the homeowner's insurance, when you're comparing plans and what's covered, you want to do that with your warranty too. Look at each one of those and really individualize it for yourself, because there's always going to be a base plan, there's always going to be a top plan, and there's almost always going to be add-ons. So you can kind of adjust it to exactly what you need. So the trade call fee is the biggest question probably that I get when people look at the brochure. Like, you understand the cost of the warranty, but not so much what a trade call fee is. And the difference is homeowners insurance requires you to pay a deductible. So your deductible is your per claim fee that you pay. And that's determined by your insurance company. It can be pretty significant because what they cover is a lot larger. So maybe hail damage to your roof. So replacing a roof is pretty pricey. So your coverage or your deductible with them is usually going to be somewhere between $500 and $2,500 per claim. That's obviously going to depend on how much you pay for your homeowner's insurance. So, you know, the less you pay, kind of the higher your deductible, or vice versa. Right. It is a give and take. You're going to pay it somewhere. The difference with a home warranty is we require you to pay a trade call fee at the time of your claim. That is much smaller, so typically between $65 and $150. $150 is pretty high in this area. Our top one is $100. But that's a trade call fee to get a trade call specialist out to your home to diagnose the problem. So what that fee does for you is you pay that to the warranty company when you file a claim. We send out a contractor, they diagnose the problem, and they give us the diagnosis. Once we have that diagnosis, we can figure out how to go about fixing it. So is it covered under your plan? Is it not? Is it partially covered? Because depending on exactly what's going on with it, it could be that maybe, you know, the water line in the refrigerator, for instance, is not covered under home warranties. The refrigerator itself is, and the ice maker is. So depending on exactly what's failing, the home warranty is going to compare it line by line. So when that contractor provides a diagnosis, we go through and look at every single part that's needed to replace it or fix it or repair it, whatever it is. And we determine then what is covered and what isn't. So
Interesting.
yeah,
It's almost like a service call.
it is. It's basically a service call. So if you were going to hire your own contractor to come out and check it out, you would pay them a service call fee anyway. So that's basically what this is. It's a service call. A lot of times people will get frustrated with home warranty because they say, I paid my trade call fee and you didn't fix it. And the thing that you have to keep in mind is the only way that we can know if we can cover it under the plan is to send someone out to look at it and diagnose that problem. So it's just like having your own person come out.
And you would pay, particularly in this marketplace, if anytime you're having a contractor come out to diagnose something, those fees are typically closer in the $195 to $250 range, just to get them to pull up into your driveway and walk into your house. So trying to do that on your own, you're paying more anyway than you would typically on this trade call.
Right.
If, and again, big if you can find someone, and if you can get on their schedule and get in their books, and then once they diagnose it, if they have time to be able to come back and actually do it.
Right.
It's just a factor, a truth of our current marketplace. There are not enough tradesmen, not enough materials, so.
And we run into that a lot. Unfortunately, I think you guys know this already, but home warranty just kind of gets the raw end of the deal because everybody's like, oh, the home warranty can't fix this. And the truth is, anyone going out on their own right now is struggling too. The manufacturers from last year were so short-staffed to be able to run their factories that they couldn't make parts. So they're all still trying to catch up from that. So when we go to order parts, it's the same situation. You know, we run into the same trouble. We have it maybe a little easier than just a regular Joe, because we do have, you know, contracts with larger companies like Lennox and Train and things like that to try to get, you know,
to get those parts
get
that you
those
need
parts.
faster.
Yeah. So we definitely are trying. If anybody's working the system, definitely yes. So another good question is, I just moved in last week. Am I covered? And the truth is, if you had an inspection and it passed, so the inspector didn't call out any failures or anything that needs to be looked at by another licensed contractor, yes, you are covered. And that is the beauty of purchasing a plan at closing. If you wait more than 30 days and purchase a plan, then, you know, we can't ensure that you are covered on that because the inspection has a, you know, expiration basically. So if you do that in conjunction with your closing, then it makes it a lot easier for us to say, okay, look, they had an inspection. Whether the inspector did super detailed job on it or they ran through and just checked on off, we know that you had something done, someone looked at it, it worked fine, and now it doesn't. So you're covered. The I waived inspections with the thumb down, I love that because unfortunately, you're probably not going to be covered if you don't have inspections and something fails in the first 30 days. The reality is, home warranties would be out of business if people knew that there was failures and they signed up for the warranty specifically to cover that. So the whole point is, and when you sign up for our agreement, there's a little caveat on that contract that says I agree and verify that my home or everything is in good working condition. So with it being part of the real estate transaction too, that's how we know, because when you work with a licensed realtor, they're bound to ethics and all kinds of things. And so that is what
we can't lie. We just can't.
Right. And that's what brings your costs down, honestly, with purchasing during a purchase, because we know that the agent isn't going to go against their ethics. They could lose their realtor license for that. And so it does make it a little easier and a little cheaper for you. So
well, and I think it's also important, again, to address the current marketplace, because if you're watching this, you're thinking, hey, I may want to buy a house at some point in time, most likely, right? And if you're thinking that, you're reading, oh my God, in order to buy a house, I have to waive appraisal, I have to waive inspections. So let me clarify something for you. I never recommend that someone waives the inspection itself. You may choose in a transaction to waive requesting repairs from an inspection, meaning requesting the seller pay for or make some repairs. However, I would never recommend that someone buys a house and they have no idea what that condition is.
I'm so glad you clarified that, because that was going to be one of my questions, not questions, but statements. Because again, just because you're waiving inspections doesn't mean that you don't have to have the inspection.
Right.
Please get the inspection. And there is a difference between an inspection and an appraisal.
Oh yes, two completely different things. One is for value, the other is for condition.
Correct.
Essentially. So if you're going to spend $200,000 on one thing that's made out of lumber and shingles and tile, drywall, oh my God, then you really need to know what condition all of those elements of that house are in. And you can keep the right in that contract to still have inspections done and still cancel that sale based on the results of those inspections. So you may, it's that you go and have inspections and it says, wow, this roof is, 20 years old, it's near its end of life. And you didn't know that, along with the furnace has got, mice running through it or whatever. And there's all kinds of craziness that can happen. You get to decide as the buyer still, what is your tolerance for that risk and what do you want to purchase? So please, 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 if anybody in your real estate world is saying, oh, you have to waive inspections to buy a house, you don't. And please don't. You can waive the right to negotiate to have repairs, or oftentimes what I'm seeing, you can limit that. So on some of my listings, what I've received in offers is that the buyer will only make a request for repairs over $1,000 per specific line item. In other words, they really are only going to want to talk about and address something significant.
Yeah.
So,
and you can even, with writing a contract, you can negotiate anything. You can write anything in there you want to. So maybe you're okay with, fixing anything that happens on the inspection, unless it's the air conditioner.
Right.
Unless it's, whatever. So you can figure that out on your own and just make sure that you're working with a realtor that knows what they're doing and is, willing to explain that process to you. It's so important to make sure that you're, working with people who are willing to explain everything to you.
Right.
Don't go in blindly. So.
Yeah, we have a section, special agreements, gives us like 5 or 6 lines, but I can add an addendum. I can write whatever, I can write War and Peace if I need to further clarify. Just because it is a 9-page standard contract doesn't mean you have to agree to every bit of that standardization. So in fact, I just negotiated on behalf of some sellers as well, that to completely, the buyers after the inspection said, well, we'll take a credit in lieu of repairs because we're going to remodel the house anyway. So great. That was wonderful, right? It worked out for both parties. Our counter to that was, though, well, since that's the case, we agree to that, and let's remove paragraph 11 completely. Paragraph 11 requires the seller to have an occupancy inspection and to make repairs for occupancy. So that would be a substantial expense still for the seller of having to make repairs that buyer's just going to rip out of there anyway to do. So, so the buyer said, well, yeah, that's reasonable. Boom, done.
Yeah.
So being able to think creatively through what is in the best interest of all parties. Don't be afraid if you have questions in the process, or if there's something that's important to you, you're the client. It gets to be important to
Be
you.
vocal.
Right.
Yeah.
And definitely ask, because no one can fix anything for you if you don't ask about it. So definitely, like I said, find a licensed realtor, work with someone you know and trust. That's the way you're going to feel most comfortable in
And
it.
ask a million questions. If you're talking to a realtor who says, "Oh, don't worry about it. It'll all be fine. We'll figure that out later," then that may not be the right person for you.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a flag.
Right. Right. Ask a ton of questions.
Yeah, for sure. So what if my inspection showed a failure? So I said, of course, if it's, inspection passes, then yes, it's covered. So if the inspection shows a failure, we expect that failure to be resolved. So whether that means the seller fixes whatever broke or the buyer fixes whatever broke, it doesn't matter to us. In most cases, the inspector is going to say, I recommend that you send out a licensed contractor. So if they recommend that you send out a licensed contractor, then you send out a licensed contractor. If that licensed contractor says, oh, yes, this is broken, you need to fix it, then we're going to require that that's fixed prior to us covering it. That means that it was a known pre-existing condition. It was there before you bought the home and it was already broken. It has to be fixed for it to be covered under the policy. Now, if you have a licensed contractor come out and they do fix it, they make the repairs necessary, and they provide you with a piece of paper that says, we came in here, we saw this, it was broken, we fixed it, then you just want to hold on to that, because that is your due diligence right there. That says, look, we did what you told me to do. We had it fixed. It broke again. Now it will be covered under the plan. So that's really, really important. A lot of contractors will say, this unit is exceeding its life expectancy.
It's near the end of life. We knew that a furnace has end of life, but it really does.
It does, apparently. But the inspectors are not always right. We do find that a lot of them will do that just based on the age of the appliance. So just because something is nearing its end of life or it's exceeding its life expectancy, those things are still covered. So those are things that we are still going to cover as part of our plan, as long as it's part of your policy. So just because something is old is not a reason for you to not want to purchase a home, especially if you intend on getting a home warranty. That would still be covered. It's only if it's actually failing, if it's not working properly, it needs to be fixed before it's covered under the plan.
So that's great.
Yeah. So let me ask you, so what if, for example, an inspector calls out something that they think might not be operational, and they say, we recommend having a qualified professional contractor assess whatever this is, and that qualified professional contractor comes out and says, no, actually, this is in perfect working condition. They just, like in my case, it was an attic fan that the inspector just didn't know how to turn it on correctly, about how to do that.
Then that contractor just says, I came out, I looked at it, it actually works fine. You just keep that piece of paper and you're good to go. Yeah, so that all we're looking for is that you did your job to make sure it was okay. If it's broken, we fixed it. If it's not broken, we just look for documentation. And it really, we only do that in the first 30 days.
Oh, okay.
So after that, it's very rare. Sometimes maybe on an AC unit, if you purchase the home in the winter, we may look at the inspection if your AC unit fails in the summer, or vice versa with the furnace. But otherwise, we're really only going to typically ask for the inspection or the proof of repair in the first 30 days.
Yeah, because that is an important point that you make too about the air conditioner, because if you purchase a home in the middle of winter and you have it inspected, the inspector cannot assess that air conditioner
Not appropriately.
No, well, no, they won't.
There
I mean,
you go.
they
can
will
open it up and look at it. They can tell if something is clearly broken or
Right.
not installed. I've seen that before.
Yeah,
where they
if the
opened the
wiring's
panel
missing.
and nothing's there, and they're like, wait a minute. So not covered by your home warranty.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's so important because when they come out, they can't, the thing is when it's the middle of winter, they can't properly pull the room temperature down to make sure it's cooling properly. Just like in the summer, they can't pull the furnace up to make sure it's warming properly because it's already so hot, right? Or already so cold in the winter. So those things are excellent to talk about too, because you cannot ever get an inspector to tell you this air conditioner is going to work.
Right.
You need a home warranty for that, because then when we look back and the inspector says, we looked at the air conditioner, but it was too cold to pull to temp, that's going to be considered an unknown pre-existing condition, and unknown pre-existing conditions are covered under the plan. So they are covered under the real estate plan. Under the direct-to-consumer plan, they're not always covered. So another good reason to purchase before you actually go to
That
wholesale.
is.
So.
Let me ask another question, because today we are in a digital age. So you're saying keep the documents. What if there's an email or something like that? Will you take that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of times, when you get an email, it's got an email from a contractor. So
Right.
as long as we can tell that the homeowner didn't make shift some sort of invoice.
Right.
Typically, even if a contractor will send over an invoice, it's done on a letterhead that can't be changed. It's a locked format.
Right.
So we can usually open those up and look and make sure. And if there is question, our claims department will actually call the contractor and verify, hey, you were there on such and such date, and this is what you found, and then it's fine.
Perfect.
So yeah. Choosing the right home warranty can be really confusing. So a lot of times prior to closing, you may see commercials, or you may hear something on the radio, and you've got this plan and that plan and brochures everywhere, and people are sending you emails, and it's really, really confusing. So I'm going to break this down into 3 different categories, and that's going to be your typical 3 home warranty categories. So the first is your traditional home warranty. That's the one that's been around for up to 40 years or in the United States is the typical home warranty. HWA, where I am, has been in business for 25 years, and we are a traditional home warranty company. So that means that we have local partners who come out and diagnose the failures. So we don't own the companies that come out. We simply have partners that we work in conjunction with. So just like you guys are partners working together for this, we just know people and we call them to come out. So they keep their own insurance, they're bonded and licensed. We don't deal with any of that. We just verify it and make sure that those things are in place. And then we what am I trying to say? Work together with them.
Cooperate.
Cooperate together. So we call them, they say, okay, we're going to come out and check this out. Then they come back to us and give us the diagnosis. Then we again authorize them to fix it or have parts shipped to them, etc. This type of a home warranty is going to give you the most bang for your buck, and that is because it's designed to save you money. It is not exactly designed to always save you time. So these companies are going to be the ones that have national I don't want to say affiliations, but partnerships kind of, with large retailers. So places like Home Depot, Lowe's, Train, I went into that a little bit earlier too. But those companies will let us purchase, because we purchase so much nationwide, we get it more for wholesale than retail. So that's why this particular type of plan is going to save you more money versus more time. You still have to go through the home warranty company, you still have to get everything approved. We have to go through line by line, itemize, and decide exactly what's covered under your plan. The good news with these companies is they do have published terms and conditions. So before you even get this warranty, you can look at the terms and conditions and see what's covered, what's not, and what the limitations are. So it's not like you get in later and you say, oh, I didn't know that was covered. You're making that up, right? You can look at it ahead of time and see that. So,
well, and I think another huge advantage, particularly for our first-time home buyers, is they don't typically at the closing table and then they get their keys, they don't typically have a database of trusted contractors.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And they don't even know, oftentimes they don't even know what kind of contractor they need for a given issue to be able to solve it.
Correct.
So being able to have a third party who already has trusted professional contractors, because obviously you wouldn't be working with them repetitively if they weren't, right?
Right.
So as opposed to the risk of, we all see those posts on Facebook, right? It's like, who knows a plumber who can come out today? Oh my
Any
God, I'm so
recommendations
sorry.
now?
Right. I'm like,
Right.
no,
Right.
I wish. And if, my caution is if you find that, if somebody says, oh yeah, I'm a plumber and I don't have anything going on today,
It's almost a red flag
I
too.
can just
Yeah.
don't hire them, please, because that typically means that there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Along with always ask them for their insurance certificate, make sure they're insured.
Yeah,
Because a lot of them
definitely. If
don't.
you're not going through a home warranty company, make sure when you're doing your own research, ask for those things, because if they do mess something up, especially something really big, the biggest things don't seem like the biggest things. Your internal plumbing, your gas, those things are in your wall. You don't see them. You don't know about them. They're not even there until they are there.
Until there's
and
a
they're
problem.
Massive
Yes.
problem. Yeah.
Massive
So,
problem. Just a little bit of water can do an awful lot of damage.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So,
and
Yes.
just one
refrigerator ice maker lines create, at least for me, in a previous career, I was a store manager for Lowe's, so we had delivery team and we installed appliances. Our number one claim as a company, as a store, was always water damage due to an ice maker line leaking, because it's leaking just a small amount for a long period of time.
You just don't know it's there.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
the same issue with the dishwasher where it was leaking from the back
Oh
and
yeah,
where
yep.
it connected, and you
there's
just
your
don't know.
subfloor and your
Yeah.
until suddenly the ceiling's falling in or the
Right.
ceiling's wet, or
Mhm.
in one of my cases somebody plugged in a new refrigerator. We delivered it and installed it, and it was a like a hunting cabin or a vacation place, and they closed it up and locked it and left. And 3 months later they came back and
Oh
there
my
was
gosh,
mold everywhere. It was a huge claim
Yeah.
from a very little thing. So small things can add up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
That was expensive.
That is, yeah, I bet it is, because like you said, behind the dishwasher, you don't see it.
Mhm.
So like even
And you're running your dishwasher on a daily basis. You're
A lot of times at night while you're sleeping.
exactly. Your
And it
If
works.
it
Garbage
leaks, you don't even know
disposal
till the morning.
leads
Right?
into it, and if there's an issue with the connection somewhere in
Right.
there, it's behind cabinets or it's behind, and God forbid you have a finished basement,
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
also destroying the finished basement.
Mhm.
So it could, while it may just even be the appliance, it could be so much more.
It can be, yeah. And so kind of, this isn't in the presentation, but a note on that is if that does happen, that's 2 claims. That
It
is
is.
your homeowner's
Mhm.
insurance
Yes.
and your home warranty.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, because all of that drywall, all of that damage is might be covered by your homeowner's insurance, not your warranty.
Right, exactly.
But the failure of the appliance might be covered by the home warranty.
Right. So your homeowner's insurance isn't likely going to cover your actual appliance replacement.
Right.
And your home warranty isn't going to cover your
Drywall. and
drywall, floor, that kind of stuff, molds.
Cabinets.
Yeah, stuff like that. So yeah, lots to talk about with your insurance. Okay. On the next model, we're talking about the choose your own contractor. So this one allows you just to work with any contractor you want to. So you have a problem, you just call the home warranty and say, hey, I have this broken refrigerator. I'm going to call yada yada, and they're going to come out. And so when yada yada comes out, they call the home warranty company back. The home warranty says, yes, this is covered, or no, it isn't. And if it is covered, they say, okay, look, it looks like this part is covered, that part is covered. So when it comes down to the repair or the replacement, it's the same rules as the rest of the home warranty companies. Where they're a little different is they let you have this company come in, so that saves you time. However, the caps are usually a little bit lower on this plan, and you're paying retail rates to get that contractor out. So you're going to pay that contractor more to come out, and your home warranty is going to cover less towards that repair. However, it gets done quicker. So some people, you know, find that attractive. If you're in the market for something and you have more money to spend on it, and you just want someone there quicker, that's probably a good option for you. The last model, there we go, is and I'm kind of winging it. They don't really have a name for it, but it's the we own and operate our own contractor model. So this company will run their warranty company, and they will also own and operate the repair part of this or side of that too. So when you call in, you're probably going to get quicker service, right? Because they own that company. They're going to shoot them right out to you because they want to get this fixed because they also own this company. So they're kind of working both ends of the deal. This is great if you're needing a contractor right away, but a lot of people do find themselves concerned with a unbiased coverage process. So did the contractor really find what is broken? Or are they just finding what they want to sell me? Or what the company doesn't cover versus what the company does cover? Please don't take this as accusational. I'm saying that this is what's out there, what people are typically concerned with. So another thing with that is a lot of plans will offer a maintenance plan. So you may find, you know, your normal run-of-the-mill warranty is anywhere from $450 to $750. Some of these plans you may find closer to $950. When you see a plan like that includes maintenance, that can be also attractive. Just know that if you like a different plan model better, you can contact any HVAC company you want to and start a maintenance plan with them. Almost all of them will do this. They'll come out and change your filters if you need that, or they'll check your unit before you turn on your air, before you turn on your furnace. So just know that if you see a plan that you like and it doesn't have a maintenance plan with it, you can always contract out that yourself as well. And the price, I believe, is really, really close. You know, with you just calling an HVAC company, they can price it really close to the difference of those two warranties. So you're still not in it any more or less, which way you choose.
And as an agent with my buyers, I love, because I always look at the furnace because I'm weird that way. So I have to look at the water heater and the furnace and the panel work and all that stuff. But I love looking at a furnace that has a really clear sticker on it and has a clear track of regular maintenance. So that's really advantageous, because let's face it, most of you who are considering buying your first home, it is probably not your forever home. And one of the things that I always try to help my clients with is making sure that they are well positioned when they do want to sell that house 5, 10, 12, 15 years down the road. What do I do to this now in order to make it give me the best result then? And getting regular maintenance on those appliances, particularly on your furnace, and being able to show it. Yes, it does. And it's that peace of mind for a potential buyer that whoever owns this home has taken care of it regularly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll go to that next slide, because I did put something in here about that. Why do I need maintenance if I have a home warranty? No, you're good. It actually rolled right into it. That was completely accidental too. So all warranty companies will require you to maintain your systems and appliances for them to stay covered. That's really important to know, that if we come out and look at something and it's completely neglected, it isn't failing from normal wear and tear. It's failing because it's burning out because of all the dust or dirt or grime or whatever. So
because you've never changed a filter in the furnace.
Right.
Always change the filters in the furnace.
Right.
Or maybe you didn't clean out the dryer ducts.
Yes. That's a big one.
And that can catch fire too.
Yeah.
So really, really scary. But so the other thing that I just wanted to touch on here is maintaining your appliances and systems will also save you a ton of money on your utility bills. So an inefficient HVAC not only wears down faster than properly maintained system, but it also drains your energy, causing your electric bill to go up, right? Or your gas bill, whatever it is. When you have a dirty air conditioning, a furnace, refrigerator, or something like that, it is going to continue to run and run and run to try to maintain whatever temperature you've set it to maintain. And that is going to cause it to burn out. And it's also going to cause it to run, which keeps your bills up.
Right.
Changing your filters is extremely important. If you can just keep those units free from dirt and dust, it is going to keep your system cleaner. It's going to keep your house cleaner. Your allergens will be down because that absorbs more. And especially in the spring and the fall, when your windows are open, you may want to change those even a little more often. So,
and don't forget the refrigerator filter. If you have a water line and an ice maker line and you don't change that filter, the sediment and the things that is filtering out will shorten the lifespan of your refrigerator and that ice maker, causing leaks and causing more problems.
Right. And the filters themselves are typically not covered by home warranties. That's just a regular maintenance thing. But if it does clog up, or I've seen people take the filters out and then all of that stuff gets
all of the sediment, everything is there.
Right, that's technically not normal wear and tear. So these are the kinds of things that people get upset about, but just use a little common sense when you think it through. If it's not normal wear and tear, then technically you're doing that to your own system. So the cost of home warranties vary. So there's, numerous, anymore, probably 7, 8 home warranty companies. It's really hard to keep up. However, obviously we're all in business, so we're all relatively, comparable as far as prices. Coverages vary between plans, but the deep down nitty-gritty part of the coverage is typically the same across the board. So what we would cover as far as items on an HVAC system is probably going to be the same across the board. So we kind of all have the same rules and regulations. Our plans do vary. You can see on the screen here that there's a lot included even in just the basic plan. That plan is $450 and the trade call fee is $75. The middle plan jumps up your coverage significantly because it adds the refrigerator, it adds the washer and dryer, it adds the rekey service, which is not even anything that we really typically talk about. But when you're just buying a home, you always should just have your house rekeyed
immediately. Because you have no way of knowing who 2 or 3 owners prior to the existing one, what neighbors they gave a key to, what contractor has a key, just for your own peace of mind and to sleep at night. Rekey your locks right away. And
my favorite one is, it was an elderly lady. She didn't give the key to anyone. Her kids,
their kids, her neighbors,
the grandkids,
the fire department has it.
Yes, I mean that's honestly that's the most common one to give it out. So the rekey service for the $100 trade call fee will send out a locksmith and they will change out up to 6 lock mechanisms. So not the whole lock, but the lock mechanism itself, and provide you with 4 new keys for that $100 trade call fee. So
that's a great deal.
Cheap.
Yeah, it's extremely cheap. Yeah. So depending on where in the St. Louis area you are, it's a savings of somewhere between $150 to $200 or somewhere upwards of more than that.
And typically on moving day, or when that is not something you want to be doing yourself, because you've got so many other things that you're in the middle of doing.
Right. And the only thing I will say about that is my history being in title, I'm a little hyper focused on the closing part of it. But I do say call us in the morning and go ahead and file your claim even before you close. So that way that contractor will reach out to you to schedule an appointment. And when that happens, let that guy know you haven't closed yet, and can he come out at yada yada time, or maybe the very next morning or something like that. So you just want to make sure you don't change the locks on the seller's home. So you have to make sure that you're closed.
Yes, you don't own it until the seller's title company has received the funds. Your agent will explain all of that and will let you know when that happens. But it is critical to work through that part of the process.
Definitely. So the top plan is our diamond plan, and that one is $625. Both the platinum and the diamond have the $100 trade call fee. And going up to that top one, just on your screen says the Orange Plus. You can go to our website to see exactly what that covers, but it adds significant things like the haul away of your old systems. So if your dishwasher fails, you can call the appliance guy down the street and he'll come pick it up. That's not a big deal. It's more your major systems. So if your air conditioning fails, no one can just come pick that up. It has to be properly disposed. And the Freon or Puron, whatever unit it is, has to be properly recaptured out of it. So those things can run anywhere from, depending on the appliance, $50 to like an air conditioning. Those contractors can charge $250 or $300 just to haul it away. So the difference there is with the gold plan and the platinum plan, if they have a haul away fee, you get charged that, so you pay that as part of your cost. Versus the diamond, we actually absorb that cost for you. So that's one of the big perks. The other perk to the diamond plan is it does raise your appliance coverage from $1,500 with the gold and platinum to $2,500 with the diamond. So if you do have those higher end appliances, going to the diamond plan, it's only $50 more than the platinum, and it's going to give you significantly more coverage. So I do tell people, typically, just regardless of which plan or which company you're looking at, look through the details of that plan and make sure that you're really watching out for yourself and your specific needs. Maybe your air conditioning is really new and you don't feel like that's the most important thing, you know, so that diamond plan isn't for everyone. So I never say just across the board, go to the top plan. It's not always the best for your needs. So just check those out and see what you need. So here we're showing you the optional coverage add-ons, and there are even more of these on the website, things like mother-in-law quarters and stuff like that. But these are your general add-ons. So what you will see is extra, you can always do extra dishwasher, extra refrigerator, but you can also add things that people don't really think of, like your water line, your sewer line, if you have a septic system, a swimming pool.
That's big.
Yeah, things like that. So in the septic system, you know, they're really expensive.
Yes.
So our coverage is never going to cover all of that. So you've got to keep that in mind.
It could be $20,000 or so if you need a septic and a field and a.
Yeah, and so there's a couple different options on there. You can buy the septic pumping. So that's where they come out once a year and will pump that septic tank out for you.
Yes.
That coverage also covers the pump itself. So that's one of the coverages, and the other one is going to be the lines. So you'll see the difference on there is pretty significant. Just the pump itself, that coverage is $75 a year, whereas the water line and septic line actual lines is $195 a year. Well, that's because if you have to go to replace it, it's going to be a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but even if you figure the cap on the lines is $5,000. So we're only going to pay up to $5,000 towards the covered cost. But if it's $10,000, would you rather pay $10,000 or $5,000?
Yeah.
Right. So just kind of thinking that, like a lot of people will say, the home warranty doesn't cover everything.
It's not designed to.
Right. It absolutely doesn't. But it definitely can offset what you have to come up with. So
I really like the Green Plus coverage.
Yeah, the Green Plus is actually one of our most popular add-ons. So the Green Plus will allow you to upgrade to the most energy efficient model available. So when you're going to, say for instance, we have to replace your dishwasher, rather than replacing it with that model that you already have that failed, we're going to let you upgrade if there's an energy efficient model available. So that's going to help save your power bills, and it's just going to get you
and better, oftentimes better for the environment, and that's something that is very important to so many of our buyers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially the first time home buyers who
Yes.
generally are younger.
Yes.
Yeah.
And coming up, so.
Yeah, they're learning so much more about the earth than we did as kids. Like that really was never brought up until I was an adult, you know, but the kids now are learning so much more about being green,
and are very committed to understanding and reducing their own impact. So that's what we find. I
As
find
we're
it very
drinking out of
much.
plastic water.
I know, right? That's what we find a lot. I find that a lot with buyers, is that the things that are critically important to them are those things that impact the environment.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So that is it for the presentation. I'm curious if we have any questions coming in that we haven't addressed.
We do have a couple of questions. Somebody wants to know, what is the difference between a realtor policy and direct-to-consumer policy?
So the difference is the realtor policy you get when you purchase the home. So that is the one that is a little less expensive and it gets you a little more coverage. And the reason being, again, because the realtor is able to get you the discount. I hate to say that it's because of the realtor, but it really is the relationship with the realtor. They have to go through ethics training, and basically we trust that the realtor is being honest with us. So when we go to a direct-to-consumer product, that one is going to be a little more expensive. It's going to have a little less coverage, just a little different coverage. And it does not necessarily cover unknown pre-existing conditions, because everything becomes a known pre-existing condition, right? There's no inspection. There's nothing there to prove that you didn't know that was already broken. So you do have a waiting period before you can file a claim on a direct-to-consumer product. So you would have to wait 30 days before you could do that, versus the realtor plan, you can file a claim on day one. As long as you have that inspection that you can give us, then yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah, it's just that from what I'm understanding, that overall the company experiences less risk, fewer claims if that transaction has come to them through a licensed realtor, because of our additional requirements, and because of our expertise, that we're able to walk somebody through that transaction and make sure that they come out of it with a home that's in better condition.
Right, and you're identifying problems for them up front.
Right.
You know, that's heading things off at the pass. So.
Somebody else wants to know if the age of the home matters. If they buy a really old home, is that affected the warranty?
Yeah, that's a good question. In some companies that may matter, I would say definitely check out that brochure. In our company, that does not matter. We have no age limits on the home or the systems or appliances. So the only catch to that is we have to be able to read the serial number. So if it's a really bad condition, you know, then it might not be covered. The reason for that is we don't know how we can replace that unit if we don't know what that unit is. So as long as we can read and identify what type of unit it is and the serial number on it, we can go back and figure out what's most comparable to that. But otherwise, there's no limits on it. So I will tell you, your older systems and appliances, if you're looking at a house that's 35 years old, those are going to work like a champ. I hate to tell you.
Yeah.
Those are still...
They're not going to be very efficient.
Right.
They're just not.
Right.
But they're going to keep working.
Yeah, those were made with real hands, and they just were made to last. The newer stuff, honestly, I get so many questions about, oh, this air conditioner is only 5 years old, or the house is only 5 years old.
Right.
Those, unfortunately, are the ones that we see fail the most. So just keep that in mind too. It's that it's just a difference in the way things are made now. They just aren't made to last as long.
Absolutely, because even with appliances, they're not meant to last 10 or 20 years anymore. They have a lot more components, and most of them have a motherboard. They're computers. They're they are much more efficient. They have lots more bells and whistles, right? But they are not intended to last as long as some of those old things.
More plastic, less metal.
Exactly.
Yeah, and think about our cell phones. I mean, every 2 years you need a new cell phone, because your cell phone stops working right. All of a sudden,
well, the
you're not
updates
getting
don't
your
work
voicemail.
anymore, right?
Yeah, they
That's
stop.
a whole nother conversation.
Right. A whole nother representative can come for
yes,
that one.
exactly. Somebody from AT&T needs to explain.
Right. Please come.
Why does that happen? But again, if you're working with professionals in a real estate transaction, and one of our future guests is a home inspector.
Yes.
And just like with home warranties, there is every manner of quality level and style in home inspectors as well. So making sure that you work with ones that really can identify everything for you. And the ones that I work with, they get the serial number for you for all those appliances, and they deliver it to you in a nice little binder, and you have all the information so that if anything happens, it's all right there. So it's a matter of choosing the right partners that are going to really set you up for that success.
Absolutely.
Now, I do have one other question in regard to older homes, because I do sell a lot in the city, and the houses can be 100, 130 years old. What about, I would say, like non-traditional heating? What about boiler systems? What about mini splits? A lot of rehabbers, right? A lot of my investor clients are pulling out furnaces and replacing them with what's a mini split is a single unit that you put on the wall, and it does both heating and air conditioning. And you typically have multiples of those throughout a home if you replace that system.
Yeah. And with any of those different systems, I say definitely go into those terms and conditions and look, because they're all different. Our plan is going to cover them, but the limits are smaller. So I don't want to quote numbers. I'm going to throw out a possibility. I believe that the normal HVAC coverage, I know for sure the normal HVAC coverage is 5,000. And I want to say on like a boiler or a mini that it's 2,000 for some reason. But I'm throwing that number out there. I can't be sure, but definitely look at the terms and conditions on the plan and figure out exactly what's, like she said, if you're moving into a home and it has something a little different, check your plan before you buy it. Make sure it's going to cover what your specific needs are. So,
Heidi, is there a place where consumers can find service-related information, like for the home warranty company, if they're looking at different ones and they're trying to figure out who to go with? Is there a place like Better Business Bureau or anything? What would you recommend a consumer look at?
if they're looking for service, I mean, that's really hard because it really depends on your zip code. So we don't publish any of our contractors that we work with. And that's basically why, because you could be in 63011 and be totally different from 63021. So we really don't publish that. I would say if there's questions about coverage or contractors, they could reach out to me, and and I could work with them.
I can partially answer that question as well. So if someone is trying to decide between home warranty A, B, or C, the best person to probably ask is going to be me. Because as or your realtor, because as realtors, we work with these day in and day out. We establish relationships, absolutely, with people who we know, like, and trust, and who take good care of our clients. We're also one of the first people who gets the call a month later, 3 months later, 6 months later with this broke, what do I do about it? So then we hear the stories and we get the feedback to know who is responding and who takes care of things. So I would always recommend in a case like that, Better Business Bureaus is kind of challenging because typically the only people who ever report to the Better Business Bureau are mad people.
That's so true.
Right? You only ever see
you said that.
Yes.
So me, but it's
yeah,
so true.
it's only the complaints. You don't really see you don't see the success, right? So you may see 2 complaints, but you're not going to see the 100,000 happy clients on there. However, I'll hear the good, bad, and the ugly, from my side.
The day-to-day,
right? And then another big advantage of going through a realtor with that is that because we develop relationships, if I have a client who is having a problem or is having a challenge or, makes a call and they're not getting service, then they'll call me and I'll call Heidi. Not that I'm not going to call Heidi with every single client issue, but if something is an issue, I know that she wants to know because she has the opportunity then to get involved and help that scenario.
Absolutely, yeah. And the other thing too is, you brought this up, but working with someone you trust. So if you find that, we call it the yes man, right? If you find that yes man and the answer is always yes, something is probably wrong. Look for someone that, unfortunately, it's not always fun, but is going to tell you the things that aren't covered, or that's going to stand by those rules and regulations, right? Because if it's gray, I'm a little, like, okay, shifty, right? I can go to bat for you if it's gray. If it's black and white and it's not covered, then I hate to say that, but I'm going to say, I'm sorry, that's not covered. And really, that's what you need. You need someone to tell you the truth so that you're not in there 3 or 6 months later and you have a problem and oopsie, now you called to file a claim and it's really not covered, but that person just wanted to sell you a warranty.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. If there's ever questions, don't ever hesitate to ask, and do ask around, ask your realtor, ask other people, because word of mouth does travel. So definitely.
Okay, so it sounds like we've gone through all of your questions. Certainly, if you come up with any more, the place to drop those is into our Facebook group, right? So that we would have an opportunity to be able to get that information to you. Thank you so much for doing this,
You're
Heidi.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
I learned a lot.
I learned a lot.
I mean, there's a lot that I didn't already know, so I really appreciate this
And there's
information.
a lot probably still to learn. So definitely drop those questions if you haven't.
So we have, as we mentioned at the beginning, this is part of a series that we really enjoy putting together and presenting for you. And we have a number of other experts coming up.
Trusted experts.
Yes. Trusted partners. Absolutely. We'll be talking about new home construction. We'll be talking about taxes. We'll be talking about insurance. We'll be talking about how to take care of that home once you buy it. So there are, inspections. So we'll have.
I think next month Kevin Pannebecker is coming.
Yes.
So he'll hit on that. He'll hit on that maintenance thing again for
He
you.
will.
So
Yeah, absolutely. So he'll help clarify because his company, Mr. Fix-It, they're a handyman company, and we use them a lot in real estate.
Yes.
And he really speaks to all those things that you need to do to take care of your home. But then also his company does offer that maintenance plan. So I'm sure he'll talk to us a little bit about that as well. And we will, for those who've signed up, we will be reaching out after we get this all wrapped up to be able to give you the opportunity to touch base with any of our other partners.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we look forward to seeing and hearing from you more. And in the meantime, again, thank you, Heidi.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you.
Thanks.